I think arrests were made where some persons that were said to be political thugs. It was an assumption,
yes.
so we do not know at the end of the day who they are or who they were. But in terms of intimidation, statements coming out,
it wasn't like that.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't like that.
It wasn't. Yes, it wasn't like that. In comparison with Edo State, it wasn't like that. But campaigning in such a way that it is issues-based, I do not know. I would not say.
Did you see the debate between the two frontline candidates? I would have thought that it was going to be on issues. But I thought I saw jabs throw in and all of it. But I think Nigerians, talking about debates, do debates actually,
So I think it's a borrowed culture, right?
Borrowed?
Yes, it's borrowed because we see that in the US, we see that here and there. People debate because the citizens over there are aware. Look at the US election, for instance. It was issues-based, and a lot of the citizens were aware of the issues. And so the candidates knew that, these are the issues that people are agitating about and that I need to speak to the issues, and so that is where I can sell myself. So if you do not sell yourself based on those issues, a lot of persons will not align with you. They will not align with your views because they feel, you know what, I am handing you over 4 years of my lifetime, and I want to see how you address these matters.
Exactly.
But if I do not see you coming out clear enough for me to understand what you intend to do, addressing those issues that I know could affect me in the next 4 years, of course, I would keep behind someone whom I know has spoken to the issues and is going to address them. But I believe that we are still growing because there are some fundamental issues that we haven't addressed.
I think we need to grow fast in that regard.
We haven't addressed some fundamental issues which are still, biting hard. Talk about poverty, talk about so many things, talk about education. How many people are enlightened to understand what the issues are? For a majority of Nigerians, what they are looking forward to is just give me light, electricity,
Nigerians
stable
are not too much.
They are not. Just give me stable electricity. Just let me have food on my table. I can afford it. Let me drive into a filling station and I can just buy fuel at an affordable amount. Right. So these 3 key issues, and then I can afford anything I want. So I can handle myself after that. Most Nigerians are their own government. They handle so many things. So if the fundamentals haven't been addressed, many people will not look at other issues that are also key.
Talking about the debates, the debates actually determine who wins an election in
It goes a long way. In Nigeria, okay, I was thinking you were going to...
No, in Nigeria.
I don't think so. That's why I said the fundamentals...
The fundamentals need to be addressed
have to be addressed first. And if that is addressed, then people can look at the key issues. So it's just a microcosm of a population that understand the issues and look at it. And if you look at that number, there are people who can provide certain basics for themselves.
Because if we compare it to the way elections are done in the US, but which is not fair to compare, because when you look at elections in Nigeria, you see, we'll vote for the person who danced for us. We'll vote for... Why not look at...
Don't go there. No, that's wrong.
The mundane... instead of focusing on the issues, rather the mundane thing. We throw jabs. Let me dance for you.
That's because we have seemingly weaponized poverty. And that is what has blinded most people. So they don't see beyond certain things.
So where should the change start from?
Well, the change begins
with... The politicians or the people?
The change begins with you, right? It begins with you because there are certain persons who are poor but can still see through their poverty to know what the issues are. Right?
They're not seeing now. They're looking at the future.
They are looking at the future because they can think They can see beyond the now.
Exactly.
They know that it is not about stomach infrastructure. It is about the future of my children, the future of what is going to happen to me, my lineage, in the next perhaps 4, 5, 10 years down the line.
True.
So they know how to handle those things. But you see, how many of those voices are being heard? You look at, I recall some months ago we had a guest here who was talking about when he tried to, dabble into politics, and, he was speaking with the people about his lofty ideas, what he intends to do, this and that. But you see, some persons called him and said,
I can predict the response. I can predict the response.
Baba, come here, let's talk.
What are you bringing to the table?
Right? You see, because of how we handle our own politics, our politics has its peculiarities.
True.
That's the truth. And so if you talk about debating and all of those, we still have a long way to go to really adapt to that. Yes, there are those who want to hear. You can find them on X and on social media and all of those. And some people, the bandwagon effect, just, because this is trending, I'm also part of the conversation. But deep down, that is not what they are after.
And even for the elites that actually understand the issues, most of them do not even come out to vote, but rather they prefer the rurals, the people in the rural area.
That's why we talk about the fact that politics is local.
Sure.
You get to the grassroots. But how many of those are the grassroots? Actually educated,
they are aware of the issue.
And are aware of the issues. A lot of them aren't. So that is why we still have a long way to go.
A long way to go.
So education is key. Right? If we want, beyond voter education, enlightenment, a lot of persons are not enlightened to understand how to analyze these issues and know the impact on their lives on the long term. So that's why they just grab anything you throw at them. Or
I think the people should people should also know that it's not just about today, it's about their future for the next.
That's why I said enlightenment education is key.
The rice that's given to you, the 2,000 naira given to you, you can't spend it for 4 years. The fertilizer.
You want to address what is happening to them right now. I am hungry and I need to eat now. So they will tell you, hear some people tell you, I need to eat now. And that is what, if I don't survive now, how do I think or plan for the future? So that's the issue. But let's quickly finish up a lineup of events for today. That to maintain order, the police have banned certain activities during the election, including the use of sirens, covered number plates, and unauthorized aids to all escorts. Now, local security outfits like Amotekun have also been warned to stay away from election activities with severe consequences for violators. Now, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. today, movement will be restricted. Aerial patrols by helicopters and waterway patrols using gunboats will provide additional support to the ground patrol at the 18 local government areas. Now, Deputy Inspector General of Police Sylvester Alabi has also directed the immediate deployment of designated commissioners of police to their respective local government areas.
What I expect from INEC and the security agency is a very, very orderly arrangement for the election without any fighting, killing, or all sorts of things. A very peaceful one. I expect the security to be in charge and to be in every corner of the state to make sure that things are going on very smoothly.
I'm coming out to vote and I expect a very peaceful election because we want everywhere to be peaceful. We don't want any riots or any chaos or anything of such. We just want everywhere to be very, very peaceful.
I wish them best of luck because we want the best for our state.
Okay, I expect everybody to come out and vote. I want both the law enforcement agency and the INEC to be neutral and they should be fair with their judgments and there should be peace everywhere, no riots, so that all of us can be fine.
All right, we have in the studio Director, Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Killer. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, both of you. Good morning, everybody. Good to be here.
Great, great. We are talking on the election, and INEC has been reeling out data to us with regards to the number of registered voters and the number of those who collected their PVCs, saying that over 2 million persons were the number of registered voters, but 1.7 million persons are expected to vote today. But the information we've been getting from our correspondents who are there, is that the atmosphere is not looking charged as it should leading up to the election, although we do not know how things will pan out today. But from your perspective, what really is the concern you have with the dwindling number of participation of voters when it comes to elections like this?
Okay, so that's a bit of a complex answer from me. It's not a difficult question. It's just I have my own personal view. So it's complex for me. My personal view is that people always say that, or rather, let's put it this way. Why is it complex for me? Because mostly people say, oh, let's get more people to vote. And when we don't see a lot of people voting, we worry. I am not one of those people. I don't care if a lot of people vote. I want few people who know what they're doing to vote, not a lot of people who don't know what they're doing. So to that extent.
Why?
Well, because this idea of, millions of people voting, millions of people don't know what they're doing, generally.
Isn't that what democracy is about? No,
it's not. It's an abuse of democracy. We're going to go to that at some point. The system that works is a system of informed people, not a system of people generally.
In a democracy?
In a democracy. Yes, in a democracy. What we have is an abuse of democracy. We have to go back to the way democracy was intended and a commonsensical understanding of what democracy ought to be.
Take us back.
You want to go back right away?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, for this conversation. Yeah.
Before we go to your point. Okay. So, generally speaking, if you look at the ancient Greeks when they started democracy, it wasn't everybody really. Citizens were qualified. You needed to show that you are committed to the land. You could fight and die for it. You had stake. In that reason, when you vote, you wouldn't vote for something that would destroy tomorrow because of the benefit of today.
So patriotism is...
Patriotism and stakeholdership is what I advocate. And stakeholdership. I believe that if we want a democracy that will work, what we need is for people to show knowledge and stake so that they then have to vote. At the moment, we're treating our voter's card, our PVC, like a proof of identity, like a validation of citizenship. Automatically, you're 18, you get to vote. I say no. And I've been advocating this for a while. I say no. Let us treat our voter's card like a driver's license. Before you can vote, show me two things. One, that you understand. Do some test, oral or written, I don't care. Just the way you do driver's license. Show me that you actually understand what you're voting about. If you don't, stay away. Show me that you have stake. Pay your tax for 2 years. This is 2024. You want to vote in 2027, start paying your tax for the next 2 years, regularly. So that way, when we say the government is spending our money, it will truly be our money because you're a taxpayer, because you're a voter. If you are informed and you have stake in the Commonwealth, your view about the matters of the nation will be different. You will not be swayed by the 2,000 naira of today that you are saying because you have invested more in your tax. The 2,000 will not sway you. You will not be swayed by ethnicity or religion because you are an employer. You want somebody that is competent to do the job. And I think that is a fraud that our political elite and our intellectual elite have perpetuated against the rest of us.
Please, I wonder, wait, please, there's something interesting. How did our political elite, like you rightly introduce this into our own system? Because perhaps this is the peculiarity that we face as a country.
Well, because you see, what we've done in Nigeria, like in most cases, is that we jump faces unnecessarily. We're like dull students that get double promotion. They don't have the intellect, they don't have...
Those are strong words.
Yes. That's what happens to us. Because generally, if you look at our history, what have we done? We have gone from rural area to post-industrialism without going through industrialism. So we have a country where what is the most profitable thing? Services. Whereas we don't have factories, we don't produce. The carpenter, the farmer, the artisan, the engineer are not rich. Who's rich? Influencers and pastors. They sell things that you cannot touch. That is the post-industrial era. But before you get there, you should have built things. So we haven't built. The same way we went from colonialization to post-colonization, universal adult suffrage. The countries that introduced democracy went through a lot of phases before they got to universal adult suffrage. I have this comeback from an international tour of elections in Washington, of party elections in England, and I tell you that we're reviewing this universal adult suffrage. And I say we, actually, I've been saying it, I've been warning them.
Right.
The reason why I was invited, because they realized that I've been saying this thing for over 15 years. Where they are now, I was there 20 years ago. Because some of us saw this risk. But to your question, the numbers...
No, you talked about uninformed persons, uninformed people. Yes. Who's responsible?
Yes, that was the question you were asking. How did our political people... It's our politicians, it's our leaders. And I use the word leadership generally.
Okay.
Politicians, because they are the gladiators in the field, the intellectual class and the moral class, because they've allowed it. You know, it's a mixture of two things. Who are responsible? The answer, politicians and intellectual class.
Right.
Why? Mischief and some ignorance. And
you think it's deliberate?
Partly deliberate, yes. That's the mischievous part. We have to call these things out. We have to be very clear about it. Some people are mischievous. Some people are just good-natured people. As I'm saying this now, some people are at home and saying, Anthony Killer started it again.
Yes.
It's this bad thing that he says. You know, some family members are saying, God, don't go and say this thing outside. But here you go. But it is fact. We must say it, we want to be honest. So some people think it's a good thing. Let everybody vote. You know, it's a good feeling thing. Allow the youth, allow people, allow this. No, the more the merrier. No, it doesn't work that way. Do we do the more the merrier when we employ doctors? Do we do the more the merrier?
That's a different ballgame.
It's a different thing. Yeah, in fact, they treat one person. Right. Politicians treat millions of us.
Right.
What we don't know, the politicians, people who manage our lives, our policies, are more dangerous to us than doctors and teachers who teach one at a time. We need to think that way.
Interesting. Now, we just saw live feed coming from Owo in Ondo State. There we have seen the INEC officials or ad hoc staffers, as you may want to call them, already on the ground there, preparing and waiting for voters to come out to vote. And we have seen the trickle of some voters coming out there to go and check the register and also see what can be done before the process begins in earnest at 8 o'clock. And so we'll definitely be bringing you details of what is happening out there. You see them, they are checking their names, their details, they're ready to vote. And I wonder for you, Anthony, Ondo State is one of the states a lot of persons have said to be politically aware, to have politically aware, you know, residents.
That's the second part of the question.
Yes.
Why few people? Before we go to the, to the philosophy of politics thing.
But from the numbers that we're seeing, because when you look at Edo State election, initially a lot of persons felt, oh, we'll get a number of people come out. But unfortunately, 24%, like you mentioned.
Yeah, 24% in Edo State.
So are you hoping for perhaps a 35 or 40%?
No, I'm not hoping for. I don't hope for these things. I project it. I do lead to hope. A lot of people will not come out in Ondo State for a very simple reason, because there's no real competition there. I was in Akure, Okitipupa. I toured Ondo State a few weeks ago before I traveled to see what was going on there. And I accuse the opposition parties in Ondo State of committed a fraud against democracy. They're not fighting.
When you say fight, how do you mean?
Well, they're not out there. They're not showing that they're a credible alternative. The PDP is asleep, the Labour...
Let's not mention political parties.
Oh, yeah, we can mention.
But what should be the role of opposition, really?
Opposition should be proving themselves to be a credible alternative. They should be showing that they have people, they have programs that can offer something else than what the government of the day is offering. And at the moment, the opposition in the Ondo elections have not shown that. I literally counted for every poster of one party, the one that is probably going to win today, to the number of posters of the other parties. And I counted about...
We can't assume, because in politics...
Well, we can assume. But some of us can predict. Well, you can't assume. Some of us can actually project this thing, because we've seen what is going on in terms of boots on the ground, in terms of feeling of the people.
Talk to us about what you saw on the
ground. Well, some of us are paid...
Yes, so positively about a particular party.
Well, because the others have not put up a fight, really, and the people are feeling it, that it's a waste of time. They've not shown, that they're there to take charge. There is... So let's be real. We can't talk party, but if you look at the candidates on the field, the main ones, they have some things in common. They're all former deputy governors.
Okay.
And there seems to be a sort of consensus that let's let this one go and do it. The fraud against democracy, I say. Because we don't say these things, and it's part of why we have a problem. We don't look at the duties of everybody involved in the arena of democracy. Government of the day, opposition, media, intellectual class, clerics, social leaders, community leaders. We don't talk about the duty of everybody. The government of the day has a duty to govern, and we must hold them accountable for that. Opposition has a duty to hold government accountable and to provide alternative in every step. Alternative of program, alternative of people. You need to show that we can do things differently. We have the people that can do differently. It is a duty that they have.